There's a topic called stagger patterns on rims, and for a long time I don't think I really understood that fully, but now I do, and I want to try to share that information with you. The stagger pattern is easy to observe with this rim. If we look at the valve hole and then we look to the right, the first hole is down and the second hole is up. And then we have another down and an up, and it continues that way all the way around the rim. Here I've put a piece of red tape over the valve hole so you can easily locate the valve hole, but looking clockwise from your vantage point, you can clearly see that the first hole is down and the second hole is up, and so on. It continues that way. If I turn the rim over, I want you to see that it's exactly the same. So either way you look at the rim, the stagger pattern is the same, in this case down up. So don't be confused about that. On the other hand, the stagger pattern on this rim is pretty hard to observe. In fact, all of the holes look about the same. This is a zip toroidal shaped rim, and we need to know more information about this in order to determine the stagger pattern. This is a cross section of a zip toroidal shaped rim. The rim is 4 millimeters thick at this point here that we refer to as the spoke bed. If the hole in the rim were drilled straight out, then the nipple would come straight out also, as you see here. But let's look more closely at the wheel, and let's look at two adjacent spokes. This spoke is clearly aiming for the up flange, and this spoke is clearly aiming for the down flange. For the up flange spoke, the rim is drilled so that the nipple and spoke will come out of the rim aiming directly for that up flange. Similarly, for the down flange spoke, the rim is drilled so that the nipple and spoke will come out aiming for the down flange. For the up flange spoke, instead of the rim being drilled straight out like that, it's drilled with a slight angle to it and gives us that angle there. And for the down flange spoke, instead of the rim being drilled straight out like that, the hole is angled down, giving us that angle there, which is the same angle. In the vast majority of rims, those upward and downward angles are the same. Unfortunately, it's difficult to discern that stagger pattern. If I look at that rim there, all those holes look pretty much the same. They all look more or less along the center line. So what I'm going to do to see this better is to insert some 11/64 inch rods into the rim holes. If you don't have these rods, you can use drills. That works about the same. When I insert these rods into those holes, I can clearly see that that spoke and that spoke are down spokes. They're pointing down, so those are my down spokes. Conversely, that spoke and that spoke are pointing up, so those are my up spokes. So I'd better build my wheel with the down spoke heading toward the down flange and the up spoke heading toward the up flange. So if I go clockwise from my valve hole, the first hole I encounter, I say to myself, I think this is a down hole, and the next one, I think this is an up hole, but maybe I really can't tell for sure just by trying to observe the holes with my eyes. I can put some of these rods in here, and now it's very obvious that one goes down and one goes up. Something that works quite well as an alternative to those rods are just plain old chopsticks that you could get at any kind of an Asian restaurant. Let's look at a few rims from the back, such as this one here. There's my valve hole, and I'm going to look to the left. This actually, viewed from the inside, would be clockwise, and that is a down hole, and that is an up hole. There's my same rim oriented slightly differently. I see the down hole, and there is a spoke coming out of my down hole, and there's my up hole, and there's a spoke coming out of the up hole. It's obvious that the spokes are oriented in the direction shown. Maybe this will help you understand this a little bit better. So here we're looking at a cross-section of a rim showing the orientation of a nipple coming out of an up hole and then the orientation of another nipple coming out of a down hole. The green dashed lines represent the direction that the holes would be drilled through the rim if they went straight through with no up or down pattern, whereas the red lines, the red dashed line indicates the actual orientation of the nipple. So the one on the left orients upward, and the one on the right orients downward. Let's look first at the up hole on the left and note where the green line is representing the center of the rim. And you can see that a larger portion of the hole in the outer wall is below that green line than is above it. If we look at the down hole on the right, again focus on the green line, you can see that looking at the size of the hole and the location of the hole in the back wall, a larger part of the hole in this case is above the green line than is below it. If we look at the rim from the outside so that we're looking at the outer wall, we'll see something like this. Now let me try to orient you to what we're actually looking at. The large circles, such as this one here, represent holes that are in the outer wall. These are the large holes. By looking through the large hole in the outer wall, I can see the smaller hole, which is actually drilled through the rim, and that, of course, is what the nipple will go through. Going from left to right as I insert my spokes, the first spoke is an up spoke, the next one is a down spoke, then an up spoke, down spoke, up spoke, down spoke, and up spoke. My suggestion in building a wheel is to make an effort to determine the whole stagger pattern. You really want to try to do this, but if it's not possible to determine it, just assume that it's down up. The vast majority of rims are. I said before that in the vast majority of rims that upward cant or slant is the same as the downward cant or slant. But that is not always so. For example, here, this nice head Belgium rim, if intended for a rear wheel, is not drilled with the angles the same on the right and left side. Check out the chapter on miscellaneous topics and tips where I'm explaining this to you. Unlike the rims like this that we've been studying, where the nipples come out of the rim at an angle and aim the spoke directly for the target flange. Instead, some rims have no stagger pattern and the holes are drilled straight through. The top nipple is aiming directly at the center of the hub, even though that the spoke coming out of it has to go to the up flange. Likewise, the one at the bottom is aiming directly again at the center of the hub, even though the spoke coming out of it has to go to the down flange. The spoke at the top comes through the nipple, but then immediately has to make a sharp turn to go to the up flange. The one at the bottom starts out coming out like that, but has to make a sharp turn going to the down flange. Those are stress risers, weaknesses in the spokes, and will cause them to break prematurely.